Welcome back to The Starving Artist, where to eat or not to eat is no longer a question, because I am about to prepare a delicious and healthy meal that won't break the bank and will certainly satisfy your tummy. It is finally summertime, and that means it's time to take advantage of all of those wonderful fruits and vegetables. And that's exactly what I'm going to do today with my version of a classic eggplant parmesan. Instead of turning on the oven and turning up the heat in the kitchen, I'm going to make a simple stovetop version that'll be ready in about 15 minutes flat. But the first thing we're going to do is go shop for those ingredients. So the best part about summer is all of the farmers markets popping up all over the place. It is a great opportunity to buy local and buy fresh, and that's exactly what I'm going to do today for my simple stovetop eggplant parmesan. Follow me inside. Quite the successful shopping trip, if I do say so myself. These vegetables cost me less than $5. I'm off to the local grocer to get the rest of my ingredients, and I'll meet you back in the kitchen. So I got the rest of my ingredients, and as I was shopping, I realized that not only is this dish simple, healthy, and delicious, it also only involves about 4 main ingredients: eggplant, tomato, garlic, and mozzarella, and I bought them all for under $10. Come on, you can't beat a summer dish for less than $10. I'll add a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper to taste, and we're done. But first things first, let's go rinse our vegetables and get chopping.
After giving your vegetables a nice cool bath, start by cutting up your eggplant. I like the long, skinny Chinese eggplants. You'll need about 3 or 4 of them to feed about 3 or 4 people. Slice each one long ways and then cube. You want decent sized pieces because you don't want the eggplant to completely dissolve when you start cooking it. Then do the same for the tomatoes. You'll need 3 or 4 nice, plump, juicy tomatoes of your choice. Give them a rough chop and then mince up about 5 cloves of garlic. Next, preheat a large saucepan big enough to hold all of your vegetables. When it's hot, cover the bottom with about a ½ inch of extra virgin olive oil. Now it's time to cook the veggies. Begin by browning the garlic. Once the garlic is golden brown, add the eggplant. And season with a little bit of salt. Eggplant absorbs a lot of flavor, so it's important to layer your seasoning and taste test as you go. Saute the eggplant on medium-high for about 8 minutes or until it starts to get browned and tender. Then add the tomatoes and season again with a little bit of salt. Allow the tomatoes to cook on medium-high for about 15 minutes before lowering the heat a little and letting them stew.
So in traditional eggplant parmesan, what you typically do is you slice up the eggplant and you fry each piece individually. It's a delicious dish, but it's also very heavy. The trick to keeping your stovetop eggplant parmesan light and healthy and delicious is replacing some of that oil with a little bit of water. Water will help break down and cook the eggplant through without adding any of the extra calories.
Once the liquid has been absorbed and the tomatoes and eggplants are nice and broken down, add a handful of breadcrumbs, give it a quick stir, and top it off with a few handfuls of shredded mozzarella. You'll be tempted to stir the mozzarella in, but trust me, you'll want to see it, so only give it a tiny stir. Slice up a nice baguette of your choice and serve yourself a hearty helping, letting it ooze out all of the sides.
Oh, excuse me. I was just having a moment with my sandwich. Look at the size of that thing. It's almost the size of my head. And who would have thought you could have an enormous eggplant parmesan sandwich homemade in less than 15 minutes without ever having to turn on the oven in the middle of the summer. Now, if I was a big enough woman, I would pick up this entire sandwich and take a bite, but I'm not, so I'm opting for the fork. That tastes like a little bit of heaven. It is so good. The eggplant is completely cooked through. You get a nice sweetness from the ripe tomatoes that we used. A little bit of salt in there. It's a nice contrast to the sweetness. And with this nice crispy, crunchy bread, it is going to be the perfect eggplant parmesan sandwich you never had.